And we are live. Well, hello, everybody. Blake here inside my home office today. And it is February 2nd. And February 2nd for me is a very special day. And I know some of you are thinking, Blake, it's Groundhog's Day. Groundhog's Day isn't all that cool. Yes, it is Groundhog's Day. For those of you guys familiar with the superstition that if the groundhog pops out of his hole today and sees his shadow, we got 6 more months of winter. But if he doesn't see his shadow, we got an early spring. It is Groundhog's Day, but that's not why it's a special day for me. February 2nd, 1981 was the day that I was born. So yes, everybody, today is my birthday. And for those of you that are quick at math, 1981 to here we are, 2021 means yes, today is the big 40 for me. So celebrating my 40th birthday today. And I just want to thank all of you out there who have sent messages or posts or hit me on my Instagram or Facebook. I am one of those individuals that does actually take the time on my birthday to read all of the messages and read all of the comments. And I just want to say, I love you all. Thank you all for the support. Everyone who watches this or hears this, that at any point over my 40 years, whether it was a single moment, whether it was, months, whether it was years, whether we're still in touch or not currently in touch, I just want to take a moment on my birthday here, turning 40, and say thank you for being a part of my timeline, my lifeline to date. And I appreciate all of you for being together on this amazing, amazing journey. So for those of you that are looking to say, Blake, it's your birthday, what can I do to celebrate? I'll put in my gift request right now. So I'm a big collector of moments and memories. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a special conversation today. But for those of you that do feel compelled and want to celebrate with me today or take a moment and do something that'll put a smile on my face, all I'll ask is, hey, share a memory, share a moment, post a photo, post a comment, and maybe the first thing that comes to mind, share a memory we experienced together. Give me a tag in the post or the story, and would love to go through that at the end of my birthday, and I would appreciate that. So there's my gift request for those of you guys that feel so compelled, and I look forward to seeing a collection of moments and memories and experiences from all of you who end up watching or listening to this conversation. And we're gonna have a special conversation today. I know it's gonna be something that is emotional for me and something that I'm excited to share with you all. It took a little bit of work, some internal reflection to put together today's conversation. And I just felt, compelled and inspired to come today on my 40th birthday and share a special episode. And, we'll get to that in a minute. So 40, it's interesting. I got invited by one of my close friends and close mentors a couple of days ago over to dinner at his place. And he wanted to do a little pre-birthday celebration. And it was awesome. The very, very COVID conscious. Walked in and they had a setup outside in their backyard of 2 tables where Karis and I could sit on one and Eliyahu and his amazing wife, Debbie, could sit at the other. And we had a little fire pit in the middle and they served this amazing home cooked dinner. And we had just an awesome conversation. And then they surprised me with kind of a birthday cake. And, we got into one of those conversations. And this is someone that I go to a lot for, personal and professional advice, someone I respect a lot in terms of the perspective he's able to give through the experience he's had in his journey. And so I asked him, obviously, going up on my 40th birthday, I said, how do you look at turning 40? I look at my life in kind of decades at a time. I don't know if any of you watching or listening to this kind of chunk your life in, like the first 10 years or the first 20 years or the first 30 years. And I asked him, I said, how do you look at turning 40 and beginning this next decade of life. And I asked, obviously expecting or anticipating some wisdom, right? Something that I could take with me into this next decade or next chapter of life. And, the reply I got there at dinner, he said, well, Blake, when you turn 40, you begin aging. And that was it. That was the advice. I immediately, after the pause, waiting for more, started laughing, as did my wife. And I said, yes, thank you for that extreme wisdom. Makes me feel amazing on my 40th birthday. I thought it was a great kickoff. And truth, right? Truth for those of you that have turned the page into your 40s. This morning, I got up and, went to the restroom and was turning toward the toilet paper to grab the toilet paper. And I look at the toilet paper, and the toilet paper is an entire roll that says, "Holy," with the poop emoji, "you're turning 40. The entire roll. So that was the way I woke up this morning. Thank you, babe. I appreciate all you do. And so needless to say, it's been fun leading up until this moment. But with all kind of jokes aside, I do firmly believe that age is an attitude. I believe age is an energy. And I know everybody says it, but I do believe it. I believe, 40 today, what is it? Is it the new 30, right? I'd like to think it was the new younger, but it is an attitude. It is an energy. And as I approach a new decade of my life and move into a new season in my 40s, I can honestly say I'm grateful for my experiences up until this point. I feel like, looking back, I've had the ability just to live a full life to date. I'm grateful for the moments. I'm grateful for the memories. I'm grateful for the experiences. I'm grateful for the lessons, right? I'm grateful for the valleys. I'm grateful for, everything I've been given that is and has been the journey so far. And I can say that congruently. I can say that sincerely. And I can say that I'm excited for, yes, the first 40 years, but even more excited for the next chapter. And with all that said, I kind of felt compelled on my 40th birthday, for whatever reason, to do a special conversation and share it with all of you. And for those of you that do follow maybe some of my content or some of my podcasts or conversations, you might have heard me in the past reference that I tend to keep a list of principles, life principles that I grab from time to time, either from individuals or certain experiences or just aha moments that for whatever reason in that point say, this is something I want to grab. And I literally add them to a list, a principles list I keep inside my computer and my phone, so it's always on me. And I collect principles. I collect principles as reminders, really for myself, of lessons that have been given to me that I try to bring with me moving forward, lessons to live by. And this principles list, is hundreds and hundreds of principles long, and they cover all kinds of different categories and different situations and circumstances that I've run into that I have found value enough to try to carry with me as reminders. So here on my 40th birthday, what I did really for myself is I went through my principles list, and I did my best to ask myself, what are the top 40 principles that, for whatever reason, have been the most significant to me? The top 40 principles that have guided and shaped where I've come from, that have led to where I am, and really the top 40 principles that I always want to remind myself to keep top of mind, to bring with me as I go forward. I'll tell you, it took longer than I thought to narrow a list of all my principles down. to the top 40. But for today, on my birthday at 40 years old, what I want to do is I want to share with all of you, if it's okay with you, my 40 principles to live by on my 40th birthday. And as we go into this, I guess I'll preface this by saying a couple things. These principles, they were written from me for me. So they're really principles that are personal. And they're principles that, again, I try to live my life by. And I'm sharing them with you on a personal level. So number one, it gives you maybe some insight on me and how I try to operate and what has been significant or impactful up until this point, but also putting them out there for maybe something you can grab, right? A few that might resonate and maybe something you might feel inspired to add to your own principles list or your own memory to try to operate by moving forward. But they are written personal, right? So they're from me to me. The second thing I'll say is I am no way trying to claim that I am the original author of every single one of these words. So as are most things in life, what we know, we probably got somewhere, somehow from someone else at some time, or at least the inspiration for it. So I'll give the disclaimer that, hey, some of these principles I took from somewhere, sometime in my life. Some of them might be very literal that I grabbed in that moment, word for word. Some of them might be my interpretation, right, of the feeling that I got. Some of them I might have adapted. Some of them might be original thoughts, right? And they are original thoughts that I've written down in my principles list or journals as I'm going through certain situations. But by no means am I trying to claim authorship of every one of these words. I just want to share something that has impacted me in hopes that it adds value to you. And I guess the last thing that I'll say is, while I did my best to try to narrow these down to a top 40, which was difficult. They are in no specific order. So there's no priority. No one is more important than the other. They're not in any sequence in terms of when I develop them. They're just kind of a giant dump of 40 principles to live by my 40th birthday. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and dive in with all of you to 40 principles on my 40th birthday that I've gathered over the last 40 years as a reminder myself to bring them with me in my actions and decisions in the years to come, and hopefully add some value to all of you. So principle number 1, you become like those you surround yourself with. Choose your circle by design, not default. You become like those you surround yourself with. Choose your circle by design, not default. I grabbed this one early in life. I heard someone say in my late teens, I believe, you'll become like the top 5 people you surround yourself with. The top 5 people you will be the average of. Choose them wisely. And I've always grab that and use that as a way to make decisions on who do I want to surround myself with. The fastest way to change the way you think, change your circumstance, change your result, is to change your environment or shift your environment. And I've always tried to put intention into finding and surround myself with people that challenge me, that, I want to, step up to, that have me raise my standards, that I can learn from, that maybe think differently. At the end of the day, surround myself with people that make me better. And that's something that I've tried to do most of my life, and something I want to continue to do moving forward, because the reality is if we don't put intention into our environment, then we're stuck with a circle by default. The people that are default in our life because of situations or family or school or work, when I do believe our relationship should be by design. So you become like those you surround yourself with. Choose your circle by design, not by default. Next principle. Thoughts are things. What you think about, you bring about. And I really believe that, right? Our thoughts have power, and what we do think about, we do bring about. Now, I've spent a lot of time on this principle trying to understand kind of both sides of the coin. I've spent a lot of time digging into the neurology, right, or the science of why this works this way. And I believe in the science. I believe in the concept of our RAS, or our reticular activating system, as our master filter, and how we narrow down our information or perspective based on past-based references. So our references determine our filter, determine our experience. And I believe in all of that, but I also, put simply, just believe in, The Secret, if you will, for those of you familiar with the movie or the book, right? The law of attraction, just the spiritual outlook that there's something about the energy of the frequency of thoughts, right, that create a magnetism or an attraction. Whatever your belief system, the analytical view or the spiritual view, thoughts are things. And I really believe that they have power. I really believe we do have a manifestation muscle. And I do my best to try to control what is going on up here, knowing that is creating a magnet for better or for worse. You think negative, you attract negative, right? You think positive, you attract positive. You keep your energy focused on a vision, right? A direction. You will get pulled right in that direction. I believe all of that. And it's a principle that I try to live by. Thoughts are things. So remember, what you think about, you do bring about. The further you go, the further you see. This was a principle I adopted early in life, and it helped me get started. It helped me get activated. The further you go, the further you see means we don't need to see the whole staircase, right? As Martin Luther King once said, we only need to be able to see the first step and have faith that there is, right, the top of the staircase. And this belief has powered me through a lot. This belief helps me get started, get activated, knowing and having faith that there is a future, there is a vision, there is a possibility, but not having to have the need or certainty to know exactly how I'm going to get there, right? Knowing the further we go, the further we will see, meaning you take the step, all of a sudden you can see the next. You take the next step, you can see a little bit further. And all of a sudden, if you just keep moving forward, your vision starts to expand of really what is possible. And that was true early in my life, early in my business career, having faith in what was possible, even though it was fuzzy, right? Even if there was doubt, but using this principle, the further you go, the further you see, to keep moving forward. And it's proven to be a fact for me, right? If you keep moving forward, the bigger vision will become clear. So the further you go, the further you see. Learn to delay gratification today, and you'll have more tomorrow. Delayed gratification has been huge and something that I was fortunate to learn growing up. I think this one for me, I learned, really as a consequence of my parents and the way that I was raised. Like I remember growing up where I had to finish my schoolwork before I could go out and play, right? I had to get certain things done before I could do the things I thought were more fun. And that created a discipline early on to get first things first, right? To delay gratification. I call this the starburst theory or the starburst rule, because I remember, when my parents would take me to 7-Eleven down the street and get me a reward for maybe something that I did well, and I got to pick out one piece of candy. I do remember consciously, right, the decision of what candy am I going to pick out? Is it going to be the Snickers bar, right? Or is it going to be the Reese's Pieces? Or, is it going to be the gummy worms? And I would always pick the Starburst. And it wasn't because the Starburst was my favorite candy. It's because the Starburst came with individually wrapped squares and it would last longer. So I knew if I did the Snickers bar, it'd be gone in a couple seconds, but the Starburst, right, would last a longer period of time. And it was something, as I look back, it's like I was teaching myself to delay gratification early in life. And that applied later in college, right? Being able to put off things that were distractions all over the place to focus on my entrepreneurial activities, focus on on my work, and something I still hold on today. And I believe it's something that applies to everyone. Matter of fact, there is a really famous test, one of the more famous tests in psychology, called the marshmallow test. Have you guys heard of the marshmallow test? And it's a simple test done on children where they offer to give one marshmallow right now or two marshmallows if they wait a period of time. And that's it. And it's really a test on, is that child willing to delay the instant gratification of one marshmallow now to get double the gratification, right, a little bit later? And they find that the children that will wait for the two marshmallows and delay gratification tracked over time ultimately become more successful in what they do. So delayed gratification, learn to delay gratification today, and you will have more tomorrow. Respect, but don't idolize. Those you look up to are people just like you. This is a big one. I think it's amazing to have people you look up to. We all do. People that we can learn from, people that we respect, people that excel, right? And we want to honor in things they're excellent at. And all of that is amazing. And we can learn a lot from modeling. I'm a big believer in modeling, but there's a difference between respecting or learning or modeling and idolizing. You guys, I don't believe in a guru mentality. I've never believed, someone, no matter who they are, or what they've accomplished, or what pedestal they are on, or what title they've been given. I've never believed that they're an untouchable. I've never believed, right, that they're dramatically different than, say, you or I. I think at the end of the day, people are just people. We're all imperfect. We all have our idiosyncrasies. We all have our stuff. We all have our weaknesses. We all have moments where we break, right? We all have our imperfections. And it's okay to respect, learn, model, but never idolize or put someone so high up on a pedestal that you think they're any different than you. Matter of fact, the inverse. If it's possible for one, it's possible for others. If it's possible for them, it's possible for you. So I've always told myself, hey, I'm going to respect individuals. I'm going to learn, I'm going to model, but I'm never going to idolize, because at the end of the day, they're just people. There are only two categories: things you can control, things you can't control. Don't waste energy on the latter. So one that's easier said than done, as are many of these. But it's true. At the end of the day, everything, and I mean everything, doesn't matter the time, the situation, the circumstance, who's involved or what's involved, everything in that specific moment is either in a bucket you can control or the bucket you can't control. And we spend as individuals so much of our life, our energy, right, our focus on things that at the end of the day, we really can do nothing about. And this is something I remind myself constantly. If it's something I can't control, I'm going to do my best not to put energy, attention, focus, stress, anxiety, fear in that direction, because I can't control. And I'm going to focus the same energy, instead of going in a direction that can't create a shift, in the other bucket of things I can control. Now, I'll say that I probably take this to more of an extreme than most people, because this principle I do try to live by, and that nudges me to maybe disconnect from a lot of things that I don't feel like I can control. It sometimes means I'm out of the loop on what's going on in the world or on the news or on current events. And a lot of times my family and friends think I'm crazy because, I'm not more interested in some of the worldly events going on. And it's not a case of interest or if I care or don't care. Obviously, there's a lot of situations that I do care about. I'm interested in the effect and impact on myself, my family, our community, the world. But if it's not something that I can directly control or influence, I just don't understand the point. And I've found that, hey, life is finite, energy is finite. And if you put it in a direction of things you can control, you can do your part to make a difference. So I think that's a valuable lesson. And again, one that I apply probably more frequently than many of these. There are only two categories: things you can and things you can't. Don't waste energy on the latter. The greater the challenge, the greater the reward. The greater the challenge, the greater the reward. I know exactly when I made and adopted this principle into my mental operating system. It was early in my career where we were going through a season where it seemed like nothing was working the way that we wanted. Like every day would wake up and it was another catastrophe, a crisis, a fire, day after day after day after day, to the point where instead of getting stressed, I remember I would start to laugh and smile every time we woke up. It almost became the expectation of a challenge that day. But I remember telling myself and adopting this principle: the greater the challenge, the greater the reward, meaning that sometimes the world, the universe, has a interesting methodology of testing us, testing our desire, our willingness, our fortitude, our resilience, our strength, to see if we deserve what's waiting on the other side. And I don't know about you, but in my life, when I have pushed through the moments of obstacle or moments of problems or moments of challenge, there has been a reward on the other side. Now, that reward might be instant or that reward might come later, but I believe there's always a reward for pushing through a challenge. And the greater the challenge you go through, the greater the reward on the other side. The problem is most people don't develop that understanding because they give up in the challenge and never realize the reward. So for me, I've adopted the belief, and I try to remind myself frequently, because challenges don't stop, right? Obstacles don't stop, right? Struggle is a part of what we do, right? You know, they say you're either just coming out of a struggle, currently in the middle of a struggle, or a struggle's right around the corner. So is life. But that's normal. The problem is, for some reason, we think we're not supposed to have problems. You guys, problems are a part of life, but if we adopt a principle like this, the greater the challenge, the greater the reward, we get to challenge ourselves and then recognize the reward waiting on the other side. So the greater the challenge, the greater reward shifts a belief or a perspective on how we approach the challenges that, you know, are inevitable in our journey. Your potential is not based on what you achieve, but what you overcome. So piggybacking that challenge mentality, when it comes to our potential, it's not based on your achievement, your result, some sort of metric or scoreboard. I believe our potential is based on what we've overcome. Now, this is important because we tend a lot of times, because of maybe the way we were brought up or the world that we live, to benchmark ourselves based on results, right? The scoreboard is a bank account number or a salary number, right? Or a sales target, or, you know, a result generated, some sort of scoreboard that if we're not playing up to the points that we think we're capable of, we feel less about ourselves. And you guys, let's be honest, let's face it. In the game of life, we're going to have winning seasons and we're going to have losing seasons. Nobody wins every game all the time, every season for all of life. Nobody. It doesn't work that way. So if we're constantly tying our potential or our self-worth or value, our capacity to a result, that means we're going to be in fluctuation all the time, when in reality, our potential, my belief on this principle, it's tied to what we overcome. And if we're honest with ourselves, where did we learn more? I know I've learned more in my life based on overcoming than necessarily the result, right? Winning is fun, right? But overcoming is what teaches us, right, the lessons. They say leaders are forged in fire. They say that crisis, right, doesn't create character, it reveals character. Therefore, we build the muscle, right? We become better. We increase our potential or capability through what we overcome. So that's what I mean by your potential is not based on what you achieve, by what you overcome. Do all you can do, the best you can do, and have faith that whatever the outcome, is what's best for you. This one recites in my head very frequently. Do all you can do, the best you can do, and then have faith that whatever the outcome is what's best for you. And I mean each and every one of those literally. Do all you can do. In any situation, do all you can do. Do the best you can do, right? You can do all you can do, which is a level of effort. You can do the best you can do, which is a level of quality or intention. And all you can do and the best you can do is all you can do. You can't do any more than that. But I'll say all you can do, if you do it the best you can do, is not only all you can do, but it will be enough. It will always be enough. But obviously the catch is only you know if you're really truly doing all you can do. Only you know if you're really truly doing the best you can do. And I ask myself this all the time. Am I doing all I can do? Am I doing it the best I can do? If I'm not, then I ask myself, well, how do I do all I can do? And how can I do the best I can do? And I use that to try to give my best effort, right? And my best quality. And I'm not saying I'm perfect every time. No, I catch myself, but the principle helps me adjust and move forward, helps me, right, progress. But that last line is important because once you do all you can do and the best you can do, you got to let go. You got to let go. When I say let go of what happens from there. Let go of the outcome. Let go of the result. You don't have control over the outcome. You just have control over doing all you can do, the best you can do. Then you got to let go and have faith that whatever the outcome, it's what's best for you. And sometimes that outcome might be what you wanted, might be what you were working toward. Awesome. It was meant to be. That's best for you. But sometimes the outcome, even when we do all we can do and the best we can do, is not the outcome that we thought we wanted. But it's the understanding that might be the outcome that we needed. Even if we don't like it in the moment, we might realize that later. So this principle, guys, is also one of faith, right? Do all you can do, the best you can do, then have faith that whatever the outcome is what's best for you. Life's too short to waste it with those who don't love, value, or respect you. This gets into relationships on all levels, whether it be, significant others, whether it be friends or working relationships, partnerships, people within your circles. Guys, life is too short to waste it with those who don't love, value, or respect you. I think all of us at some point in our life, given the circumstances we're in, what we go through, we all of a sudden realize we found ourselves in relationships that are toxic. Toxic by the means that they limit us. They put a box around us. They dampen our light. They don't make us better. And I'm not here to judge. It's not about the person being a bad person. You guys, this isn't one of judgment. It's one of reflection on right? All of us have to be responsible for who we allow in those circles. And if we have people that are toxic, that don't come from a place of love, right? Aren't valued, don't respect you. Life's too short. You're too valuable. Your peace of mind is too important, right? And we have to learn to create distance or space, right, from people who aren't moving you toward your best version of yourself. A hard one, but an important principle I've found when it comes in life. Stay in your strength zone. This is an important one. For those of you guys that, again, follow me, you know that I tend to talk a lot on strengths. I'm a huge believer in a strengths-based development and a strengths-based focus of life. And it's so important to keep this principle top of mind because we have so much conditioning to the contra, right? We've been groomed through a school system, through a, career environment, through the world today and the expectations around us that we got to be great at everything, that if we have a weakness, we got to spend time to fix it. A lot of times we find ourselves comparing, right, something that we're not so great at to other people. And that makes us feel less, right, of who we are and our own abilities. When at the end of the day, we all have a strength zone. You have a strength zone. I have a strength zone. We all have been given natural, innate, God-given strengths and talents, things that we are good at, we excel at. We were given those for a reason, and we know what those are. We know what those are. And again, this is a reminder to myself, just as much as a principle I'm sharing with you, that we got to not focus on what was left out of us, but focus on what was left in. Focus on what we excel, use our strengths, right, in our career, in how we contribute, and don't worry about the weaknesses, and stop comparing, right, yourself in areas that you weren't even meant to be great at. We got to stay in our gift zone, stay in our strength zone when it comes to, what we do. So stay in your strength zone. Forgive everyone for everything, not for them, but for you. It's an important one. Forgiveness, again, may be a principle like many, easier said than done. But the key thing I've found about forgiving is, you guys, forgiving is not about them. A lot of times I'll get stuck in conversations where it's like, but it's so hard to forgive this person. They did this. They made me feel this. What they did was so wrong. There's such a conflict of principles or values. I understand it. I've been there. But at the end of the day, guys, forgiving somebody, it isn't about them. Forgiving doesn't mean what they did in a certain situation you feel is right. Forgiving isn't about them at all. Forgiving at the end of the day, it's about us, right? Me forgiving is about me. You forgiving's about you. It's not worth the anger. It's not worth the angst. It's not worth the physical turmoil. It's not worth the conflict and your peace of mind. It's not worth it. Matter of fact, not forgiving continues to allow that person or that thing you're frustrated with continue to have power over you. We got to learn to forgive everyone for everything, not for them, but for you. Now, I'll be the first to admit that, maybe I take this to an extreme sometimes, and maybe that's to my detriment. I've become one that's quick to forgive. I forgive virtually everyone for everything. I try to live by this principle. I try to do it fast. Sometimes I forgive people and forget too quickly. And maybe that comes to bite me, right? Again, or learn a hard lesson again. I'll be the first to admit that happens a lot. And I got to get better at forgiving, but not forgetting and learning. But even with that said, and knowing that it affects me, or maybe forgiving too soon, too quick, and too fast allows me to learn a hard lesson over and over again. Even with that understanding or awareness, I still would rather be one that forgives and has the peace of mind than hangs on to the resentment and the anger. Again, my principles for me: forgive everyone for everything, not for them, but for you. Relationships amplify life. Keep family first and real friends close. Guys, relationships are everything. They need to be a priority. This is something that took me longer, not to learn because I understood it in principle, but to apply when it comes to relationships. Sometimes, I don't know about you, but I tend to get over-focused and over-absorbed in pursuing a mission or an idea. And sometimes I haven't in my life prioritized relationships. Because relationships are everything, right? Family first, and I think as years go by, we do get older, as funny as it may sound, like we realize how important our family is. At the end of the day, they're the ones there in the morning. They're the ones there in the evening. They're the ones that'll be there, right, at the end. And close friends, people that really care and support you. If we're fortunate to have people like that in our life, you got to hold them close. You got to make them a priority. Matter of fact, one of the longest running studies in psychology is a Harvard study. I believe is still running. It was one of the longest running studies ever done. Actually took an entire graduating class of Harvard and tracked that class through 80 years of their life. And the purpose of the study was to try to figure out common patterns that led to a healthy quality of life, mentally healthy, physically healthy, right? Happiness. And you guys, the one common thing, kind of a interesting find, maybe one you wouldn't expect, right? But the common thing for the people that were the healthiest and the happiest later in life is all of those people had great relationships, a close community, surrounded by love and people that care. And matter of fact, the relationships of all things wasn't money, wasn't best medical care, wasn't where they lived, wasn't genetics or genes. The number one thing at the end of the day that's going to lead to a happy and healthy vitality longevity for all of us, it's our relationships. Give without expectation. We have giving energy and we have receiving energy. We got to give without an expectation. Guys, when we give, at the end of the day, we're giving for them, but we're giving for us, right? Giving energy, put it out and don't expect to come back to you right there in that moment, right? Directly. Sometimes we give and sometimes it comes back directly. Sometimes we give and it doesn't come back directly. But if we give without expectation, it always comes back eventually, even indirectly. Guys, no covert contracts, no guilt, no hidden agendas. Don't give for control, right? Give without expectation, just for the sake of giving. That's the energy we're meant to bring to the world. This is a principle I try to live by, is just to give without expectation, no strings attached. You can spend your life either building up or tearing down. Be a builder. You guys, when I was in my freshman year of high school, my freshman water polo coach, in one of the first practices, yes, I played water polo. Yes, Speedo's involved. But in our first practices, he handed us all a poem. It was called Be a Builder. And the whole poem was how there are people that spend their lives building up and people that spend their lives tearing down, and how you can spend your life building something up and tear something down, right? A life's work in a moment or two. You have a choice. Are you going to be a builder, right? Or are you going to be someone that tears down? I'm a big believer in creating, not destroying, building people up, building ideas up, building things up, right? Building passions up. There are plenty of professions that pay well out there to tear down. You can make a lot of money and get a lot of power to tear down. I believe you'll never be happy if you spend your life tearing down other things. Be a builder. Something I try to live by and a principle you might want to adopt. Faith and fear cannot coexist. Choose faith. Guys, in any moment, right, there's faith and there's fear. We all go through fear. Different stages of life bring different fears, right? I've been through and still have a lot of fears. Fear of failure. What if this won't work? Fear of rejection. What'll people think, right? Fear I may mess up, may not be perfect. Right? Fear of uncertainty or unknown, fear of what may come or what may happen. Guys, the world is full of fear. And this time now more than ever, we have so many sources around us that continue to trigger our fear response. But you can't have fear and faith at the same time, because faith goes back to believing that it's all going to be okay. Faith goes back to believing that what you're going through, you're meant to. Faith goes back to believing that we'll never be given more than we can handle. Faith goes back to believing that we can do all, right, with what we are given. Faith goes back to believing that everything is for us, right, not to us. So I try in moments of fear to remind myself that, hey, am I coming from fear or am I coming from faith? Because they can't coexist at the same time. Our health makes everything else possible. Guys, health needs to be a priority. Without health, we have nothing. And we realize this if we've gone through a situation where we had an extreme pain or an extreme injury, or someone, in our life all of a sudden got a call that we never want to get from a doctor. We all have these wake-up calls that without health, we have nothing. Therefore, it needs to be and maintained a priority. Good health makes everything else possible. And it's something we got to keep top of mind. The pieces of the puzzle are always on the table. You just need enough perspective to see them and discipline to put them together. Guys, this principle speaks to we always can solve the problem. There's always a resolution at hand. In any circumstance, no matter how dire it may feel, I tell myself the pieces of the puzzle are on the table, right? I just need to have the right perspective and then stick with it, the discipline, the consistency to put it together. Guys, we always have the answer. The answers are always there. You need nothing else. The solutions are at hand, right? Every single circumstance, it's like that darn Rubik's Cube. It's there. There's an answer. There's a solution. The things can line up. You just got to keep spinning it, right? Until they do. You got to keep putting the pieces of the puzzle down until you see that picture, that masterpiece. It's always within us. We always have the solutions. And this principle allows me to stick with something until you're able to find that clarity and not give up. Don't mess up good for perfect. pursue progress, not perfection. Perfectionists out there, right? I'm one of those individuals that a lot of times wouldn't start, right? It would keep me from starting because I wanted something to be perfect. Guys, perfection is a myth. There's no such thing. Don't mess up good for perfect. We're not pursuing perfection. We just want progress. Focus on one step at a time and adapt. Guys, everything is a constant iteration. Okay, life is a constant iteration. Pursue progress, not perfection. Money follows, it doesn't lead. Guys, money, it's important, right? It is important. Makes the ability to have security and safety for your family, the quality of lifestyle you want. You guys, money in this world, it is important, but money follows, it doesn't lead. In my experience, anytime you focus on money as the direct result, you never get it. And if you get it, you never keep it. You might say, well, Blake, money follows what? Well, money follows, guys, doing something you're passionate about. Money follows when you focus on doing something you love and doing it for a reason greater than yourself. Money follows when you add value and you focus on contributing. Money follows when you stay in your strength zone. Money follows when you live by the principles we're talking about. If you do that consistently long enough over time, money follows always, but it doesn't lead. However good or bad a situation, it will change. And this is a great reminder in every situation, even the best of the best, however good it is, just remember it will change. There's been times in my life where I was on incredible winning streaks. And I wish I would have reminded myself this lesson that, hey, it will change. Nothing lasts forever. And there's also times, guys, when things are bad. And it seems like it's going to be permanent or pervasive, and it never is, guys. It will change. However good or bad the situation is, it will change. And this principle reminds you to come from a place of gratitude and also gives you the resilience to keep going. You can't pour from an empty cup. Rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit every day. Guys, valuing yourself is taking care of yourself. Took me a long time to realize that I need to make sure my cup is full. Taking time to rejuvenate, to operate at a level 10, even if operating at a level 10 is less time in a certain direction, operating at a level 10 for more focused time is better than operating at a level 6 all the time. You got to disconnect, right, to reconnect. We got to rejuvenate ourselves. You got to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. You can't give what you don't have, right? So make sure we take the time to rejuvenate, fill your cup, your mind, your body, your spirit every single day so that you have and can be all you can be when you are giving and trying to make an impact. You will never please everyone. Stop trying. This is for everybody out there like me that maybe always wants to make everybody happy, right? Always wants to please everybody, wants to stay away from confrontation. I've spent a lot of my life, right, trying to make everybody and do everything I can to get the best out of the situation. Eventually realizing, guys, that no matter what you do or who you are, you can never make everybody happy. And you know what? It's not your job to, it's not your role to. Stop killing yourself over it, okay? Stop trying. For all the people pleasers out there, those chasing acceptance, we got to remember that principle. You're never going to please everybody. Stop trying. Uncomfortable conversations can lead to positive outcomes. I don't know about you, but I've spent a lot of my life dreading certain conversations. But I've learned, having had to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations, whether it be in personal life or a lot in professional life, uncomfortable conversations often lead to positive outcomes. You got to shift that script. Uncomfortable conversations can be a great thing, and they are a necessity, right, to quality relationships, a necessity to success in career. And we can't be afraid of our uncomfortable conversations. Never stop asking why. For those of you that are familiar with my story, you know that question why was my first awakening moment, my defining moment, my shift when I realized why. And I didn't have a good answer. Matter of fact, I realized in that moment, I was living a life of supposed to. You guys, why is a question we should never stop asking. Why is that happening? Why am I feeling this way? Why did I say that? Why did that happen? A childhood curiosity, right? My 5-year-old, my 2-year-old, right? They always are asking why. That is in us, guys, that curiosity. We should never stop asking why. That allows us to create an awareness, continue to advance our perspective, and not get stuck, right, in a certain script or routine. So maintain that curiosity, never stop asking why. Go see the world. The more of it you see, the more of it you'll want to see. Guys, it's a big world out there. I was fortunate that in my first part of life, my family, we did a lot locally. That we did a lot of camping and road trips, and it got me in love with going out and being active. And I was blessed to have my first international trip when I was around 19 years old, and went out to Europe. And I remember seeing this and realizing, wow, there's so much out there. And I fell in love with seeing the world and never stopped. And I realized the more of the world I see, the more I want to see. The more that I see, the bigger I realize it is. The more perspective, the more cultures, the more people. Guys, the world is a big place. Get out and see it, and know the more of it you see, the more of it you'll want to see. If you look over here to my right, you'll see the world map, and you probably can't see all the green pins, but I put a little pin every place that I've had the privilege of going, collecting the currency. And I plan on holding this principle through the rest of my life and putting a lot more green pins on that map. The world is a big place. We got to get out and see it. Spend money on experiences over things. The goal is to have a live list, not a bucket list. A passion principle for me, guys. Experiences are what we retain. Memories last longer. We buy things, they get old and tarnished and eventually, break away. But a good moment, a good memory is something that can last and retain a lifetime. They appreciate and value. The goal is not to get to the end and have a bucket list full of regrets, a list of woulda, shoulda, couldas. One of the largest regrets of the dying is they didn't go out and do the things and see the things they wanted to see. The goal is not a bucket list at all. The goal is to have a live list, a list of a life fully lived, moments and experiences. Create a live list, not a bucket list. The only way to lead is by example. And you guys, we're all leaders, right? We start by leading ourselves and leading our own life. And that gives us the right to become an example, to lead our family and people that rely on us and look up to us. And maybe some of you will step to a level of leadership where you're leading bigger groups of people, right, within your community, or even at a larger level, right? But there's only one way to lead, is by example. And I try to remind myself that way. Am I setting the right example for the people that are following my lead? Leadership is example. Our life is the sum of our daily habits. This one came to me a little later in life, the importance of what we do every single day, right? Our days determine our weeks determine our months determine our years determine our life. If we focus on doing the right things every day, we can't help but have a good day, a good week, a good month, a good year, a good life. Guys, habits are everything, right? Our results today, where we're at today, are a result of our habits of yesterday, and our results tomorrow, our life tomorrow, will be a result of the habits we do moving forward. I'm a big fan or big believer in dialing in daily routines. Morning routines have been, very important in my life, especially over the last few years with everything we've been going through. And it's a huge principle we should all reflect on, is what are our daily habits, and are they really leading up to the life that we want to have and want to live? Be grateful for what's been given to you, or it will be taken away. This is an important one. Gratitude, and coming from a place of gratitude, being grateful for everything that has been given. And I believe if you're not grateful for all that has been given, it will be taken away. You guys, it may be a funny principle, but I'll put it this way. When you give a gift to somebody, maybe a friend or a family member, if there's someone that's really grateful, you see them light up, like there's a genuine gratitude for that gift. How good do you feel giving that gift? You look forward to giving that person a gift. You guys, I believe that, call it God, call it the world, call it the universe, like they want credit sometimes too. Look at all you've been given. right? Are we grateful for all we've been given? I ask myself all the time. I've been given a lot. I've been blessed a lot. And I remind myself, I want to be grateful for everything I have been given, both the great times and the tough times, all of it, right? You got to be grateful for what you have, or it will be taken away. The story of our life will be the pages of experiences we choose to create and moments we choose to make matter. Guys, this is a philosophy or principle that's deep for me. Our life story, at the end of the day, if we're opening it up, the pages are the experiences that we choose to create and the moments we choose to make matter. We choose to create those experiences. We make choices to put ourselves in an environment where we're doing something we love or experiencing a first time or doing it with people that we care about. And it is a choice to create an experience worth living. And guys, it's also a choice when you're having that experience or in that amazing place or amazing situation with those amazing people. It's a choice to create a moment. The difference between a minute and a minute goes by, a moment is remembered. At the end of the day, guys, all we're going to have is these collection of experiences and moments we choose to remember. Those memories are our timeline or are our lifeline. What story are we writing every single day? The story of our life will be the pages of experiences we choose to create and moments we choose to make matter. And the last one I'll share: don't trade who you're meant to be trying to be who everyone else says you're supposed to be. You are enough. You are enough. I am enough. All of us have been given certain gifts and talents, certain passions and potential for a reason. We're all unique in our own way. And the only thing we have to do is to be who we're meant to be, which is harder to do than it is to say, with so much around and so many people and systems and circumstances always trying to push us in a direction of who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to think, right? How it's supposed to work. Guys, at the end of the day, pursuing who everyone else thinks you're supposed to be is the only true way to deny yourself from ever really becoming who you're meant to be. You got to stop chasing supposed to do what you're meant to do and become who you're meant to be. And that's something I remind myself and something I'm passionate of reminding the world, because I truly do believe that all of us was created for a reason. And all of us has a meant to that we need to be pursuing. So this principle, take it as your own. Don't trade who you're meant to be trying to be who everyone else says you're supposed to be. You are enough. So 40 principles on my 40th birthday, 40 principles that have been given to me at certain points in my life that I felt are important enough to write down and try to live by. And when I went through all my principles, the 40 principles that I believe have impacted me the most up until this point, and really this conversation was just as much for me as it was for hopefully all of you, as putting these top of mind as principles I want to take forward right into now my 40s as we go on. And I just want to say I appreciate everyone who is watching. If you're catching this live or you're listening on the podcast, thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for being a part of my journey, however big, however small. I hope some of these principles allow you to give some insight into maybe how I operate and what's important to me. And hopefully maybe they've inspired you to take a few and make them your own, or maybe even craft your own list of principles you want to live by. It doesn't have to be your birthday to do the same. We'll close out by asking this. Hey, if something resonated with you today, let me know, right? Go ahead and drop me a message on my Instagram at Blake Mallen or on my Facebook, and let me know what principle resonated with you the most. If you feel you want to share it and you're inspired, share it publicly on your post or on your story. Give me a tag. I'd love to see it. I'll do my best to reshare. If you have principles of your own that you want to share with me on my 40th birthday as I embark on my 40s to carry with me, please send them my way, and I will add them to my personal principles list. And again, if you want to give an amazing gift, share a principle that you got publicly with the world. Or again, I've talked a lot about moments and memories and how they're important to me. Share a memory that we've had together. It'll put a smile on my face. And this conversation is live on my podcast, so you can catch it at Alive by Design. For those of you guys that aren't plugged in, hey, go subscribe, alivebydesign.com/subscribe, or find it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Rates and reviews are always appreciated. If you feel so compelled to give a gift on my birthday, hey, go leave a review. I look forward to reading all of those. And as we round out, guys, thank you for the extended time today. Thank you for allowing me to share principles that are important to me. I hope they have added value to you. And I know this conversation has added value to me as I remind myself on my birthday going forward of principles that I'm going to strive to continue to live by. Look forward to reading your comments. Look forward to the messages. Look forward to the posts. Look forward to the reviews. And thank you, everybody, for all the birthday wishes, and hope you enjoyed these 40 principles to live by on my 40th birthday.